Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Every Marvel Movie Ever. I'm your host Gabe Thomas. With me as always is your co-host Francisco Alcala. Today we're talking about Captain America from 1979, which, it's funny that we had Spider-Man 77, Doctor Strange in 78, and now Captain America in 79. We had a nice little break last week where we got to actually talk about a good movie, a very good movie.
Hey, Spider-Man was a good movie.
Spider-Man is not a good movie. It's a good time, but it's not Avengers Endgame. It's trivia time. Reb Brown, who plays Captain America, was at a Comic-Con in 2005, I think I didn't write it down. And apparently Captain America, which this isn't really a surprise, was going to cross over with the CBS Hulk, Lou Ferrigno, and the Spider-Man, Nicholas Hammond. So
oh my God,
I would love to see them all together, but that never happened. This is the first time Captain America ever threw his shield in a movie, which now we have to talk about something that we probably should have brought up in the first episode, but we just kind of glossed over it, which is that, okay, so on this podcast where we say we're talking about every Marvel movie ever in release date order, we kind of lied to you guys at the very start, because we didn't talk about the first Marvel movie ever made.
Because it's a Captain America movie from the 40s that is 4 hours long.
4 hours, a 4 hours long Captain America movie where Captain America is in about 5 to 10 minutes of it. And he's a district attorney named Grant Gardner, and he doesn't have a shield, he has a gun. So maybe one day we'll go back to that.
Today is not that day.
It's not that day. So yeah, we lied to you.
No day in the foreseeable future will be that day either.
Probably never, because probably after we see Howard the Duck, we're gonna want to kill ourselves, and maybe we will.
Maybe.
Only time can tell. The budget was about $1 million, which, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stunt stuff.
I can see that.
So I think that makes sense. According to the producer, this isn't about this movie, I just think this is funny. In 1981, there was gonna be a Captain America reboot where Jeff Bridges was Captain America, and Peter Fonda was the Red Skull. But that never happened because right now the NBC is owned by Universal, so the rights were at Universal, and then it went over to Canon Films, which Canon made the 1990 Captain America movie, which I'm excited to talk about that one in a few episodes. This is something I noticed during the movie and wrote it down, and then one of the pieces of trivia I found was about this exact little inconsistency, which at one point in this movie, a bad guy has a suppressor on a revolver.
Oh yeah,
and I didn't think that would work. I'm not a gun guy, but it didn't seem right.
Yeah.
And so one of the pieces of trivia is that there's one revolver that can use a suppressor. I'm not gonna try to pronounce it, but that isn't the one in the movie. So they probably just hot glued it on to whatever they had. This was released theatrically in Colombia in 1981 for some reason. And Reb Brown's only other notable credit, which nobody's going to know what this is unless you're a Red Letter Media fan, and that's Yor, the Hunter from the Future, which is a really weird space bounty hunter, alien, whatever, B-movie from the 80s. It's hilarious, and you should check it out. And this is directed by Rob Holcomb, who directed a lot of ER, and he directed The $6 Million Man, which I'll talk about later, why that makes a lot of sense. And it's time to talk about the film, which this one is technically a film. This one isn't like a TV pilot. This one's a movie. It's a TV movie, but it is a movie. So we start on just some...
Okay, hold on. Sorry. Before we actually start talking about the movie, one of the only commercial...
I know exactly what you're going to say.
On the DVD is one for a show called Superhero Squad, and that took me back to my childhood.
I love Superhero Squad.
That was such a good show.
Did you ever play the video games?
Yeah. I had the first one on my PS2, and I had a bunch of the action figures.
I had the second one on the Wii and some of the action figures. The second one's about the Infinity Gauntlet.
Introducing the all-new Marvel Superhero Squad, the Infinity Gauntlet video game. The hunt is on for the limitless power of the legendary Infinity Stones.
Yeah, fucking Thanos was in the show.
Yeah, he was, and everybody was in the show. You got Ms. Marvel, Silver Surfer.
I think Silver Surfer was like the last villain of the show or something.
Yeah, probably. I remember the Silver Surfer one more than most, but yeah, that's like the best period of Marvel where you get all the weird collaborations. Like, you get Ultimate Alliance as everybody, you get Superhero Squad, which has Wolverine, Spider-Man, Captain America. Like, you get blendings of things that you never would see back then, because that still is when the movies are coming out. I think that show's like 2008 or something. But I think that's probably because the company that re-released these Captain America movies is Shout Factory, who also re-released the Doctor Strange that we talked about 2 weeks ago. And Shout Factory is known for doing... They're just like a company that re-releases all this old weird stuff on DVD, and they're probably distributing Superhero Squad at the time. We should go back and watch some Superhero Squad.
Maybe.
I feel like it might hold up a little bit.
I remember it being a pretty decent show.
Got really... Like, I'm not expecting Batman the Animated Series or anything.
No, not even close.
It's like fun. It's just like a really fun, silly kids thing, but that's fun. I thought that was cool. I didn't write anything about that, but yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So we get some stock scenic backdrops against just New York, whatever. Nobody cares. That's how all 3 of these have opened so far. It's just
that's
with
how
stock stuff of New York.
Is that how most movies started at the time?
It looks like The Shining. It looks like the start of The Shining when they're going up the mountain to the Overlook. It's just like that, like this a winding mountain road, but it's not in Colorado. It's in San Francisco for some reason. There's some pretty cool music in this movie, also kind of like Doctor Strange. So there's a theme. Captain America does have a theme, and it's a cool theme. I want to put more clips from the movies in the podcast, so I'll probably put a clip of the music in around here. He's in his super 70s van that's covered in like brown shag rug.
The one thing that I would never have expected to see Captain America in is a goddamn van.
Is the dorkiest.
For some reason in this movie he's a weird like he's kind of like a hippie.
Yeah, he's a surfer dude.
There we go.
It's the end of the era.
He's a surfer dude
of that time.
In this scene he's going to like a beach house that has a bunch of surfboards in his dirty old van.
Just to talk to some surfer guy that he's friends with. And I think this movie's a lot prettier than Spider-Man or Doctor Strange. Even though there's some cool cinematography stuff in Doctor Strange, I still have my suspicion some of that's just stock footage.
It's definitely stock footage.
Yeah, so Steve stops at that mountain that overlooks the beach and talks to some surfer dude.
Who calls him Steve-O, and
that's
my favorite.
That's right, he called him Steve-O. That's what it was.
Hey, Steve-O!
This surfer guy was clearly written by like some 40-year-old white guys. Yeah. I don't know anything about the culture because there's some really stinted dialogue.
Pretty mellow set of wheels.
And Steve has weird like pre-2000s frosted tips.
Oh god.
But also curly hair, curly blonde hair. He was in the Marine Corps, so he's not... Yeah, but the military, despite being such a big part of Steve's origin, has nothing to do with this entire movie.
It pretty much has nothing to do with it.
And Steve has a really weird voice in this scene. He's like, he's talking about how he's kicking back, looking to live the slow life after the military.
Oh, I've been coming down the coast slow and easy, kicking back.
He has a weird voice in this entire movie. I feel like the actor that plays him just doesn't know how to act.
Yeah, but I kind of like it.
I kind of like it, but at the same time, like, come on, dude.
And then Steve just gives him a drawing of the beach.
Yeah.
Like a 5-year-old asking for his thing to be hung up on a fridge. He's just like, here, I made this. So I think that's kind of fun because if you remember in Captain America, the first Avenger, super deep cut, he does, like, he is an artist. Like, he draws, like, the monkey on the tightrope, the kind of thing. So that's cool that's a central part of this. I think that's... And then a guy in a suit pulls up and watches Steve. I don't remember which guy this is. Probably the bad guy.
Yeah, it's one of them. There's a 3 of them.
They all look the same.
Yeah, they all look like the same old generic creepy bad guy.
Kind of like Peter Cushing.
You may fire when ready.
I thought the scientist was the bad guy for a while because they look so similar. And he talks about how he keeps getting telegrams from some guy.
It's the first telegram I've gotten from this guy, Simon Mills.
So Steve calls his friend Jeff, and Jeff tells Steve to meet him in his house, and they gotta talk about urgent stuff, but he won't tell him what it is. So Steve drives off, and the bad guy's following him in his car, and the car guy radios to a construction guy that Steve's on his way, and the construction guy tells Steve the road is blocked, and he has to take a detour, which is a bad sign. And he does, and then the guy in the car tells the construction guy to get out of there. I'm just confused, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I didn't know what the fuck was happening for the first 15 minutes of the movie. Yeah, none of it made any sense.
It's so confusing, and I was watching it in 5-minute chunks because I was not getting into this one. I was not in the mood, and I thought that Steve did something, but he didn't really do anything at this point. the car guy radios to some guy driving an oil truck about Steve, and then he flips a switch that just sprays oil on the road. Is that a thing?
Like, to me, it seemed like fucking Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Like, just fucking having a button to spray oil.
Or like the transporter. Steve's van slides on the oil. There's some...
But I still thought the scene was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. There's some cool camera under the van shots.
Even though apparently he doesn't know what brakes are.
No, he doesn't even try to stop himself at any point.
He looks like he's holding down on the accelerator trying to go faster.
Yeah, it's like he's just looking for death. And this is a really tense fucking moment. Cause I thought he was just gonna stop on the edge of the cliff, but it really looked like he was gonna go over, and then he fucking went over.
He fucking goes off the cliff at full speed.
And that's when I was like, okay, I'm into this now, because he falls down the cliff, and
it's not a very far cliff though.
No, it's not, but I was impressed.
Yeah.
That's such a, specific van, they had to do that for real.
Yeah.
Like, that van fell down that fucking cliff, and that's awesome. Steve makes it out okay, but his shirt is ripped in, places it couldn't possibly be ripped in.
It's, ripped near his collar
or,
and shit.
over his nipple.
Yeah.
It's,
you were in a car crash.
So specific.
It didn't even look like any of the glass shattered, so he couldn't have gotten... He didn't have any blood on him.
No, he's fine.
So he didn't get cut.
I don't know what cut him up.
Yeah.
But then he has a motorcycle in the back of his van like the fucking Dark Knight.
Yeah.
And we fade to a government laboratory where Steve meets Dr. Simon Mills, and Simon was like, "Oh, Steve, I know your father," which that's something that happened in Doctor Strange, too. We're just talking about how he knows his dad. And they were scientists together. This scene gives me serious Amazing Spider-Man vibes, like 2012 Amazing Spider-Man vibes, because a big part of that movie is Richard Parker and Kurt Connors work together, and then Peter Parker is helping them out. And Steve Rogers, they talk about how Steve Rogers used to be a motorcyclist, and that Steve's dad created... Oh, this is the other thing. Steve's dad created the Super Soldier Serum, which is horrible.
And also, later in the movie, they straight up say he was Captain America.
Yeah, he was Captain America.
So but, apparently
first...
it was as a joke.
or something. Captain America wasn't even the first Captain America. Steve Rogers is not the first Captain America.
Apparently his dad was the first Captain America, and everybody thought he was a little bitch for it.
That's a whole fucking thing. Yeah, but in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, it's shown that Richard Parker made the radioactive spider.
Yeah, but nobody cares about Amazing Spider-Man.
No, but I'm saying, it's the same thing, which is funny, because in the 70s Spider-Man movie we watched, there's the first-person wall crawling that's an Amazing Spider-Man. So I think whoever made Amazing Spider-Man, Mark Webb or whoever, just watched all these fucking movies and took note. But the Super Soldier Serum is called FLAG, which is the full latent ability gain. You're really fucking reaching for a cool acronym.
You're really trying too hard on it.
So we see a rat with FLAG that can lift over to 2,100 pounds, and they can run 57 miles per hour, but also they're all fucking dying.
Yeah, they're just that's gonna die in 2 weeks.
Yeah, they're like, oh, yeah, but it's a rat. Nobody fucking cares.
Nobody cares about lab rats.
Offset, they all probably just snap the necks of the rats because nobody gives a shit about animal safety back then. And Simon says that they've been working on this formula for years, trying to perfect it, and it always works, but 2 weeks after, the subject always dies. So, going through the creation of the Super Soldier Serum is a pretty cool idea, because usually it's just, oh, we have it.
Yeah.
And
we made
now
it.
You have
Here
it,
you
Steve
go.
Rogers, because, stay who you are, but always be a good man, or whatever.
What?
That's what Stanley Tucci says in the first Avengers.
Whatever happens tomorrow, you must promise me one thing. That you will stay who you are. Not a perfect soldier, but a good man.
So Simon's like, let's do a few more tests on you, Steve. Let's do some tests. And because it doesn't work because cell rejection, but Steve's dad made the serum from his own cells, and so those cells would be passed on to Steve. Even though that's not how cells work.
Yeah,
you
that's
pass
not how
down
cells work at
DNA,
all.
You don't pass down cells. But sure, we'll just fucking...
But it's the 70s. People don't know how science works.
That's true. Fuck you, Rosalind Franklin. I can't think of one. Wendy Day, which that's a very, James Bond girl name, shows up, and she looks like Stevie Nicks, because it's the 70s and everybody looks the same. All blonde women look the same. And she is the new head of FLAG, and she's nice and pretty, but she's wearing this disgusting disgusting orange jacket.
Yeah.
Orange is my favorite color, but they're using a gross, like, pumpkin orange. Not a nice,
it's like
nice competition orange.
it's weird, like bright neon orange.
Yeah, it's gross, but also no, it's like gross autumn leaf orange or whatever. Wendy's like, oh, Simon spends a lot of time talking to the president. I don't want to talk about. I'm just a working girl. I don't know, working 9 to 5. What a way to make a living.
Working 9 to 5.
I don't know how these things. I don't know how these big man things because it's some weird sexism.
Because it's the 70s.
Some subtle sexism going on. That scene just ends, but it doesn't. I thought it ended,
No,
and it just goes back into it.
Steve is just like, nah, I don't wanna, and then he just leaves.
Well, no, but yeah, I thought that's what happened, but then they're drinking coffee together or something.
Oh, yeah.
And Wendy's like talking about Steve's dad, and they say that he was the original Captain America. At this point, they don't reveal that he was literally called Captain America, but they're like, he was a super crime fighter, and we want you to be a super crime fighter, Steve.
Super cool crime fighter, America man.
That will be your official name. So that kind of makes Steve a little less interesting when he's not the first Captain America, but that's okay, I guess. In hindsight, Steve gives a speech about how he's spent his whole life in the military and just wants to chill out and see the country he's fought so hard to protect. It's a pretty cool speech. I'll probably put that in, too.
Let me tell you something. All my life, I've been taught to live by the 3 words inscribed in the statue at West Point. Duty, honor, country. Hey, it hasn't been a bad life, and lots of times I feel pretty good in here. But it's been yes, sir, no, sir, for as long as I can remember. 3 military schools and the Marine Corps, and that's been about it. I think I paid my dues to Uncle the way my dad would have wanted. Now I just want to get out on the road. Look at the faces of America. Maybe get some down on campus. I don't want to report in or check out. I don't want to look forward to weekends. I want every day to be the same. I just want to kick back and find out who I am.
He refuses their project, and he's like, I'm gonna go help out my friend Jeff. And so he rides his motorcycle to Jeff's house, and Steve just walks around the house calling for Jeff, but his office has been fucking ransacked.
And he's dead.
And he's dead.
Or
Well, he's
dying,
dying.
yeah.
Jeff's dying on the floor, and he's like, Catherine, that's my wife's name. She's gonna be important later. Kind of thing to Steve, and then he dies. And then I thought it was Simon showing up, but it's the fucking... just some bad guys show up and steal some stuff while the bad guy steals stuff from Jeff while Steve calls an ambulance. There's so many names they're all just boring white guy names I need to balance. So that night, we get a fucking information overload that was making my head hurt, and I had watched the scene about 3 times to get all the information right. So, the main bad guy is named Brackett, and he wants the film from Jeff, so they send a guy named Parker to retrieve the film. But Jeff didn't want to give up the film, so Parker was trying to scare him, but he ended up killing him. And so main bad guy Brackett looks exactly like Simon, and Brackett's the guy, I guess, who was in the car earlier trying to kill Steve with the oil. And Parker was the one who stole the camera at Jeff's earlier. But Parker said that Jeff told Steve something before he died, but they couldn't make it out, which was the whole Catherine thing. And the leader of the bad guys, Brackett, tells his henchman to find out if Rogers knows where the film is, and then to just fuck his shit up and kill him. Okay. And so
it's a lot of information.
Well, we're not done, because it turns out that the film has something called the linear time equation, which I'm pretty sure they just stole that from DC Comics, because Darkseid's whole thing is that he has something called the anti-life equation, and so it's just a magic equation that'll make everything right. But in this,
it's the thing they need to make a bomb.
Brackett has this scientist working on a bomb, and so they need the film.
I don't think we ever figure out why he's making a bomb. He just is.
No, I didn't even think about that. There's literally no reason for him to.
They never explain why he is just making a bomb.
He's never been repressed by society.
I don't think they even explain where he's sending it. He's just making a bomb to blow people up.
Yeah.
Because generic 70s villain.
It's the most boring fucking plot. Not just generic 70s villain, generic fucking TV villain. Just the most
It's like a cartoon villain.
Yeah, it's more like a cartoon than anything else. But the problem is the rest of this is too realistic to be have a fun cartoon plot like that. Okay, we're back at Jeff's, and Simon's questioning Steve, but then the FBI guy shows up and asks Steve about Jeff, and Steve says that he knew Jeff all his life, and that Jeff was friends with Steve's daddy. And Steve tells the cops about how he's like, oh, Catherine was the name of Jeff's wife, who died in a plane crash. The information overload has not stopped.
Nope, it doesn't stop for another, couple minutes,
It won't stop until we get to the Meatpacking district. So Steve asks Jeff's daughter, Tina, Jesus. See, it's just names and names and names.
There's been like 10 characters introduced.
In the span of, we're at the like 20-minute mark now. So Steve asks Jeff's daughter Tina about something, but the FBI says that they haven't found Tina, and so she's not there. And the FBI tells Steve to study the room, see if anything's out of place. And he says that there was a camera on the lampshade. I don't know why he knows that, but there's a camera on the lampshade, and now the camera isn't there. And there's a desk calendar, too, but that never comes back again, so it doesn't matter. Tina is now downstairs. so the FBI couldn't find her, but no, she's downstairs. I guess they did. And she doesn't know her dad's dead yet. And Steve goes, and she also looks like Stevie Nicks. She probably looks more like Stevie Nicks than the other chick does. And Steve goes to her, and she's another fucking hippie chick. They're all the same. Everybody in this whole movie looks the same.
I couldn't tell either of the blonde women in this movie apart. I thought they were the same.
And Steve tells her and her really gross nails that she does that her dad's dead, and she does acting.
I just talked to him today. He said that you were coming over to see us. He sounded so happy. I called earlier to see if anyone was home. Why, Steve? Why?
And Simon tells Steve that whether he likes it or not, everybody now, all the 100 characters that we met in the whole movie are now involved because of Jeff's death. Okay, Simon reveals that Jeff was part of a top secret project known as Zeus, which we never find out what that stands for. It just sounds cool.
And Steve says he's never heard of it. No shit, it's a government project.
It's a secret, top secret, confidential
secret
project.
For a reason.
Steve Rogers just some surfer dude who's maybe in the Marines for a bit.
For a couple years.
Can ride a motorcycle. And so he straight up is like, oh, it's a neutron bomb. So, somebody's looking for it. And Steve thinks that there's probably more to it than that. But then Simon just leaves. He's like, good night, fuck you. And Steve gets a phone call from Brackett's main Peter Cushing looking henchman. I just think he looks like Peter Cushing because Christopher Lee's in the next one. I just want old British villains to be, old Hammer movie monsters to be in all my superhero films. Oh, yeah, we're very upset about what happened to Jeff. Maybe you should come out to a gas station.
Come out to this abandoned gas station.
In the middle of the night in like 20 minutes. And during the call, this is funny, I'm definitely going to put a clip of this in. During the call, the guy takes a long pause for like Steve to respond to whatever he just said, and then yells at him for interrupting.
Oh, yeah.
A friend who's very upset about what happened to Jeff Hayden.
Well, what do you know about it?
Don't interrupt.
Like, he waits for him to respond. Steve responds, and he's like, don't interrupt me.
Don't interrupt me. So Steve wears his all-white tracksuit, motorcycle getup, with like yellow goggles and a helmet that looks like the stormtroopers from Spaceballs. And he arrives at this very Texas Chainsaw Massacre-looking gas station, where he gets cornered and questioned about the location of Jeff's film strip, and Steve just tries to drive away. And, they have a gun on him. They could just shoot him in, like, the leg and take him in.
And they don't.
They don't. They just chase after him. And this is despite, like, the really cool vehicle stunts earlier and the really cool stuff later, this is horrible.
Yeah, it's so... the lighting is awful.
Yeah, it looks like...
It's like pitch black except for like lights from the car.
It's like they tried to do a realistic... Because, if it's night, you're probably not going to really be able to see anything. But if it's night in a movie...
Yeah, you need to be able to see something.
Set up some fucking lights. Set up some reflectors. And
it wasn't in the budget.
There's no street lights or anything.
Yeah, because they're in the middle of nowhere.
It's a dark desert road, and all we have is headlights to light it, so we can't see anything. It's the most boring chase in the whole movie, and maybe one of the most boring scenes in the whole thing until the horrible last 15 minutes starts. It's pretty good when the car sneaks up on Captain America. It just comes out of the woods like Jason Voorhees. It just comes out of the woods. I didn't expect that. That was pretty funny. And then the whole thing's kind of redeemed by this awesome stunt where a dummy of Steve and his motorcycle fall off the side of a fucking mountain. And Steve says Steve has fallen. It's the same day.
It fucking blows up.
Yeah, and then there's an explosion that has like the Michael Bay fireworks come out of it.
But fucking Steve just blew up.
Yeah, he blew up. So I was like, oh, he's gonna walk it off. But no, he's in the hospital now.
And they literally say he's dying.
Oh, and also, all that explosion happens next to like a forest.
Yeah, like that must have started a fire.
Smokey the Bear would be pretty mad, I think, because that's starting a fucking forest fire. And now it's literally just become the $6 million man or Inspector Gadget or RoboCop or whatever, where somebody's like horribly injured and mutilated, and then they just use science to bring him back as something weird. It's the same fucking thing.
Yeah, because they say that he's like dying, and then Simon's just like, well, the serum might kill him, but he's gonna die no matter what, so might as well try it.
Maybe it'll bring him back to life.
So they just fucking inject him, which I'm pretty sure that should be illegal.
Yeah, no, that's a crime.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Especially when there's no doctors in the room other than... He's not a doctor,
No, he's
is
not.
he?
He's a scientist.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing, why he's in the fucking surgery room.
Yeah, it's just like, what if... Yeah.
Oh, man. If they were building a universe, Doctor Strange could have been the surgeon. Oh, wait, he's a psychiatrist.
Yeah, he's a psychiatrist in this.
Oh, fuck. See, you ruined it.
Yeah.
You ruined it, NBC. Or CBS. What was this?
I don't know.
Fox? Oh, shit. This is really random and unrelated to this movie, but I just remember that. I'll post something about it, but we're on iTunes.
We're on iTunes, everybody.
We're on iTunes now. The verification went through, so if you guys don't want to keep listening to us on Spotify or
Then
Stitcher or wherever,
listen to us on iTunes.
listen to us on iTunes.
Come on.
I'm sorry, I just can't talk right.
Our one job is to speak clearly.
I know. I don't know why I did. At least I haven't hit the table 100 times this episode. And so, yeah, they inject Steve, and he flatlines, but he comes back from the dead like Frankenstein's fucking monster. And his readings are going off the charts like Mark Ruffalo on a lie detector. They're going crazy. And Wendy grabs a blood sample, and there's no cell rejection, which, again, the concept of cell rejection, this doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
But
Science, so...
Steve tells... Oh, it's the next day, I think, right? It's the morning, and Steve tells Simon about the oil truck incident. Probably should have told him earlier.
Yeah, maybe.
And how somebody's out to get him, and Simon tells Steve that he injected him with flag, because Steve didn't know, he was unconscious. He tells him about the whole flag thing, because it was his only chance of revival, and he's like, Steve, you probably won't die like a lab rat,
Yeah,
but
probably.
I've never done this before on a human, so I don't know.
And he is... Like... He's pissed, which
understandable.
Yeah, understandable, because, you know, you just got injected with steroids against your will that might kill you in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Oh my god. And you might, or if you don't die, you're gonna become horribly mutated,
Yeah.
probably, until you do die. Simon's like, you'll probably only experience the beneficial results, but I don't have any evidence to back that up. Fuck me. I'm not even a doctor. And why am I in the hospital with you? Steve's like, I don't want to be one of your fucking lab rats. This wasn't my choice. And Simon's like, you owe this to science for us to be able to test you. And Steve's like, no, this wasn't my choice. This was your choice, and I don't owe anything to science. I don't care about the benefits and side effects. It's not my idea. I'm not gonna be any part of it. This is really creepy that you injected me with drugs against my will.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Steve tells Simon he's grateful that I'm still alive, but I'm pissed that I'm never gonna know how long I really have, which this is kind of a great scene.
Yeah, I actually really liked it.
There's some really good... Reb Brown is really good in this scene where he's talking about how he doesn't know how long he's gonna have left.
To continue something your own father started, and that so far has saved your life, not taken it.
I'm grateful for that. But I'm not grateful for the fact that for the rest of my life, I'll never really know how long I have.
No.
It's like one of the only scenes that he's a good actor in.
Yeah, I don't hate him. I think he's fun.
I don't hate him. It's just he doesn't know how to act too well.
And fucking...
But it's not it doesn't take away from like the movie or anything. It's just kind of something I noticed.
He's fine. He's probably he's much better than Nicholas Hammond in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
he's doing actual acting, I think.
Yeah.
More than the other two.
He's doing an okay job.
But yeah, so Steve's like, fuck you, Simon. Goodbye. And Simon's like, alright, well, you know, if you change your mind.
Yeah, like he leaves like an angry 3-year-old. Like he like throws the door open and like
he does.
He's
pissed.
Yeah, he's just
Didn't get his Cheerios. He's mad. A nurse comes in and tells Steve, I thought this was funny, that he's
about as fully recovered as any patient in the history of medicine.
And then the main henchman guy comes into Steve's room with a gun. I don't know how he got in there, and this is when we get that revolver with the silencer. He's like, "Oh, no one's gonna hear you, buddy," or whatever.
Yeah, but it's very clearly a revolver, which is like one of the loudest guns you can bring into a hospital.
Exactly. It's a super like acoustic gun. It's not quiet. And I was like, I don't think that's how guns work.
Every gun can have a silencer on it.
Despite not knowing anything really about guns,
it's like trying to put a silencer on a shotgun. That doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm thinking about all the video games where you can put silencers on shotguns.
Yeah, that's not how guns work. I don't think.
Not how guns work. Fuck you, Agent 47. You lied to me. But yeah, the three henchmen take Steve to a meatpacking shop thing. You know, it's got all the fucking cow carcasses hung up. That's you know what we're talking about.
It's one of those like fridges full of skinned animals.
I don't know how they got him out of the hospital.
I don't know either.
Okay, so the rest of the movie, sound design is whatever. It's nothing notable, but it's fine. This whole scene has like a horrible like air conditioner sound over it, like a really statically like shot on VHS, shot on video, consumer grade camcorder type sound.
We've got as long as it takes, pal. Now, let's try it again.
And so they're asking Steve for the film, and they're like,
while asking him, they fucking poke him in the shoulder, like, where's the film? And it's like really gentle. It's weird.
The most ridiculous interrogation. They're horrible.
Yeah. Like for being the bad guys in this movie, they're terrible at their jobs.
They don't hang him on a meat hook. They don't like torture him or anything. They punch him kinda hard, I guess. They with like as Tallahassee in Zombieland says,
45% power.
Literally all they have is, I don't think any of them have any guns pointed at him.
I think the silencer guy still has his weird
They
revolver.
have one rope tied around his wrist.
Yeah.
And
oh my god,
very tight.
I love it. I have a comment about that rope later. But this is kind of reminiscent of the first Avenger when he's with the Red Skull, when they knock him on his knees and he's like, I'm a skid from Brooklyn. Because he's like, what's so special about you? And that's...
So, what made to you so special? Nothing. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
That's I just like thinking about that scene. First Avenger, I think when we get to the first Avenger, that is going to be 2 to 3 hours of me just talking about why that's might be the best superhero movie ever made.
It's gonna be 4 hours long, because one of those hours is gonna be you talking about how great Steve and Peggy are.
I just love it. I just love them. Oh, there's a hilarious line I'm gonna put in.
Your friend Hayden took some very important pictures for us. Then he got cute and hid the pictures. And then he got dead.
Steve breaks out of the rope, and I don't think I was supposed to pause this. I don't think this was meant to be on a medium where you could pause it, because I don't know, it was probably on VHS, but again, that's all staticky and stuff, and I don't think you could really tell. But when it's on higher definition that it's supposed to be, and you pause it, there's one rope around each hand, like so there it's supposed to look like one rope, but it's 2 ropes that he's holding his wrists together,
and he just moves his hands a little.
Yeah, he just pulls one hand away from the other, so it's like he's broken out of the ropes. It's really bad.
Good effect for the time, bad when you look at it too closely.
It would be fine if it was on VHS. Like, I'm pretty sure that's how most movies do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if most actors like being fucking tied to a thing. Well, you know, there's definitely some who do. I'm looking at you, Mel Gibson. Yeah, so he throws the fucking hot guy who looks exactly like Javier Bardem in No Country for Old Men into the main guy and pushes the big guy into a wall. He swings on a meat hook like Tarzan, and it turns a corner, and it's so funny.
The fucking music in this scene is so weird. It's barely music.
There's some horrible Casio keyboard sound effects, which
really
I will
weird.
display.
It's really weird, like, synth noises.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I hate it.
Well, only for like a 20-second period, and then the rest is just the horrible air conditioning with a little bit of the Captain America theme song, which I love. Song. I know I talked about it, but I think it's good. Like, it plays over the main menu of the DVD. I'm like, alright, I'm kind of in. He pushes a bunch of the cow carcasses and they smush Javier Bardem like in Looney Tunes. It's great. Steve slides a piece of meat at like the feet of some fucking bad guy.
Then he just fucking throws one, doesn't he?
Well, he jumps over it and then he gets cold clocked by the swinging meat thing and falls over. He's got all 3 of them hanging from meat hooks by the back of their shirt. It's not weird like Leatherface, like they're hanging from the back of their neck, like their skin or whatever.
Yeah, it's like by their collar.
Yeah,
like,
they're hung up just
they
like...
could very easily get out of that, but
fun.
you know.
Yeah. This is a weird bit where they're at the... Oh shit, I'm gonna have a tangent in a minute, guys. It's time for my tangent.
It's time for this episode's tangent.
But Steve and Simon are at the beach and Steve does some more drawing. He gives him a little picture or whatever. And so this is where Simon asks, this is a good bit too. Simon asks what it feels like to be more than the man. Steve says it's frightening and a big responsibility. And this is when I had a little thought, which
is when Gabe snapped.
Well, I didn't snap. I just thought this was interesting. This isn't a whole Spider Sense level tangent. This is just a...
I don't think anything's gonna beat the Spider Sense tangent for a while.
Well, wait until I get into a Peggy tangent.
Oh god.
But so they talk about responsibility, and responsibility is kind of a big part of a different superhero's whole thing. And so what I think is that CBS saw the error of their ways by not putting any of that Uncle Ben or any lessons or responsibility stuff into their Spider-Man show, show. And so they kind of tried to retroactively apply the message to Captain America, because hindsight's 2020. Or maybe responsibility is just an important hero attribute that should be represented in any good story. Who knows? But I think it's funny that, like, there's literally no fucking mention of being responsible or being a hero in Spider-Man, and then they basically gave a Peter Parker speech to Captain America.
Yeah,
it's
I
weird.
think this is kind of unrelated, but now that I'm thinking about it, isn't this another movie where he has no reason to be Captain America?
No.
In all of these movies so far, they have no reason to do anything heroic.
Captain America might have more reason than the other two, because he wants to be like his dad.
Yeah,
but it's not like...
he still doesn't really have his own reason
It's not like he's a kid who... Because in, like, Steve Rogers, MCU Steve Rogers...
He just volunteered for...
he's a scrawny kid
Yeah.
who... And when he's talking to Bucky, he has that line where he's like...
Come on, there are men laying down their lives. I got no right to do any less than them.
Like, he just wants to be part of the fight for his country, and he wants to make a difference and protect people, because he doesn't like bullies, as he says. He doesn't care where they're from, but he doesn't like bullies.
I don't like bullies. I don't care where they're from.
Yeah, he doesn't have the type of reason. I mean, it's probably not as glaring an issue as it is in Spider-Man, where it's like,
he's
what
just
the fuck?
Spider-Man.
Doctor Strange only becomes Doctor Strange so he can have sex with sorceress women. But, yeah, I think you're definitely right that he just wants to be like his dad.
This is yet another movie where there's not really a solid reason for them to exist.
Going in the father-son business. Which, that might be a fun thing to talk about in each superhero movie we talk about, which is like, okay, is there a reason for them to be a superhero?
Do they actually have a reason to do this shit, or are they just bored?
At a point, I'm sure there will. Every movie will probably follow, like, oh, okay, this is why. But
yeah, but all these
towards
earlier
the start,
ones,
superhero movies don't really instill any lessons, which is a big part of superheroes. Is being bigger than yourself, which none of these movies reflect that.
Yeah, they're just kind of doing it because they can.
Yeah, and so Simon thinks that Steve's dad would be pretty proud to see the formula in the form of his own son, and so I guess they're friends again now. Simon goes on to explain how Steve's dad was pretty much the most patriotic man ever, which should probably be Steve Rogers, but
maybe.
Simon is dressed like fucking Johnny Cash. He's dressed in all black
they're
at
like
the beach.
complete opposites.
Yeah, Steve's dad was basically Robin Hood. He took down CEOs and rich business owners, and they called him Captain America, which it's kind of like a Yankee Doodle thing where it's like, oh, we're doing this because fuck you America, but then no, they're just like, all right, we'll own it. I don't care.
Yeah, but like
that's us.
They don't call him Captain America because it's cool. They call him Captain America like, haha, you're a
that's
little
what I'm
bitch.
saying. Like as a joke, like as a slight at him.
Like you're a dumbass.
Yeah, but Simon is like, Steve, you want to be a super crime fighter?
Do you want to be Captain America?
Yeah, I can.
You want to be a little bitch like your father?
Yeah, you can't change the name. Rock, Flag, and Eagle.
Rock, Flag, and Eagle!
But he's like, I'm gonna be a super crime fighter, and I'm gonna be Q from James Bond. I have some special equipment for you. And I just knew, I think we all knew off the bat this is gonna look really bad, probably. It didn't look as bad as I thought it would, but oh no.
It's still pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. Steve's like, I'll think about it. Oh, so here's a drawing I did of the Captain America costume. I stole this from the fucking storyboard table.
Yeah, it's very obvious.
Yeah, he did not do that, because it doesn't match the art he did earlier in the movie.
Not at all. The villains in this movie don't really have a reason to hate or to like try to kill Steve Rogers.
Yeah, well, they don't
He's
have a
not
reason
doing
to
anything.
have a bomb
Yeah,
either,
that
but they
too.
do. At least in Doctor Strange and Spider-Man, there's a solid plan.
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
In this one, there's just
Spider-Man, the fucking fat guy's making everybody kill themselves so he can have money. It's an extortion plan, pretty much. Doctor Strange, she's trying to bring her master back into power over Earth.
and kill an old
yeah,
man.
and kill an old man. Captain America, nothing. Like
Nothing.
he doesn't.
It's just-
I have a bomb.
Shoot Captain America. Make bomb.
Yeah, that's
blow up.
he has a 3-step plan, and none of the steps make. He has no reason for any of the steps.
He has a 3-step plan that doesn't need to go in any specific order.
Yeah, okay, and here's the point where I really thought I missed a scene. Like, I thought maybe we skipped the scene on the DVD, because Steve and Wendy are, like, at the beach together.
Yeah, and it's like a different day, I think.
Maybe, but also they're wearing the same stuff. But when Simon and Steve were walking around, Wendy wasn't. There's no indication Wendy was there. And there's no reason for, like, Wendy and Steve to be hanging out, but Wendy says that she's worried about Steve, and then they, like, kiss, and I
it's like
thought I was missing something.
It's super forced.
And
it's never brought up again.
And Simon uses a line that I hate in movies and in real life, which is it is a little thing, but where somebody's having an intimate moment and somebody just comes in and they're like,
I hope I'm interrupting.
Yeah, mate, you fucking are. Like, what are you doing? Just wait a minute.
Yeah.
It's just weird. It's kind of creepy. And
a little.
Yeah, and Simon says Jeff's only friends, according to that FBI guy who was at the scene earlier, were Simon, Steve, and Brackett, and they're like, I think we should need to look more into this, whatever, Catherine or whatever fucking Jeff's wife's name was, because I think maybe the plane accident was faked.
Pretty much they're like, we were friends with him, and that guy was friends with him, so he must have killed him. Like, fucking okay.
Guy. Yeah, we didn't kill him.
We didn't kill him, so it must have been him.
Oh, and Steve's like, yeah, Wendy, you're a girl. Go take Tina to lunch.
Yeah.
You guys are women. You guys will get along fine. All women get along, which reminds me of that John Mulaney bit about how Ocean's 11 wouldn't work with women.
Like, Ocean's 11 with women wouldn't work, because 2 would keep breaking off to talk shit about the other 9.
Brackett's right-hand man is watching them in a car, because that's what they do, and Simon brings Steve to the weapons testing area, and this is pretty cool, because, I mean, they're just driving around this kind of sweet, like, Mercedes convertible, and it's Steve's old van, which I thought fell off the side of a cliff, but alright.
Yeah, it definitely fell off the side of a cliff, and it hasn't been seen since.
Yeah, and this is so fucking dumb, but it's kind of cool how you press a button, and then the Captain America motorcycle comes out of the wall of the van.
Like, fucking come on.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I like. Steve responds,
Hey, this thing scramble eggs on Sunday too?
And it whistles Dixie.
What the fuck does that mean?
Who the fuck wrote this?
Well, 40-year-old white men who don't understand surfers or hippies or anything. Jesus.
I don't think it's just that. I think they just don't know how normal people talk to each other.
No, I don't. Clearly not. I don't know who fucking talks like that. Maybe Simon, the guy who plays Simon, wrote the movie. They all look the same. There's no way of knowing. And then on the front of the bike is a really, really bad clear dome shield made of plastic. It's just just a glorified frisbee, really.
Yeah, literally, his shield is just a motorcycle decoration.
But apparently, but it is detachable, and it's bulletproof, and it's a boomerang. But it's not vibranium. It's very clearly plastic. And Steve Rogers fires up the motorcycle, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's got like jet propulsion stuff, and we get that awesome theme.
Yeah, I think the entire scene of him riding around is kind of cool, but at the same time,
it goes on a long time.
1, it goes on for a while, and 2, the actor for Captain America doesn't look like he knows how to ride a motorcycle.
No,
like, it looks like he's about to fall off the entire time.
Well, that's why I think the stunt double was probably like
even the
any
stunt
aerial
double.
shot. Yeah.
I don't think he knew how to ride a motorcycle either.
It's almost like Captain America's main attribute should be riding a motorcycle. But yeah, Steve rides through the forest and the dirt desert road, and
there's a perfectly placed ramp at some point.
Yeah, it was so funny.
Just in the middle of nowhere.
Like GTA 5 ramps,
yeah, like
where they're just all around the city.
Like, did Simon set that up for him?
Yes. But I'm really surprised the shield didn't like pop off the front, because I don't know how that shield's sticking to the front of the motorcycle.
It was shaking so much the
entire
time.
I thought it was gonna come off. And Brackett has a fucking helicopter, and this is kind of awesome. This is like Mission Impossible shit, where Brackett's helicopter is like hot on Steve's trail, and then this hillbilly tries to shoot him with a hunting rifle. Hillbilly's in the helicopter, for the record.
They're at one point they get at like point blank range, and he still misses.
Yeah, he's a horrible shot, because they got him off his fucking farm in Alabama and brought him to San Francisco. And Steve uses his rocket assist to get out of there, which, as my friend Kevin would call it, nitro boost. But yeah, it has jet propulsion. It has a really dumb silent mode that we find out about later, but you see the switch earlier on.
It's really stupid.
Yeah, it's super stupid. And Brackett's helicopter, yeah. It's like fucking North by Northwest. It's like, okay, I shouldn't compare a fucking Captain America movie from 1979 to Alfred Hitchcock, but it's got the, running away from the helicopter's really low, even though I know in that it's crop dusting and it's a biplane. You get the point. I just want to talk about Alfred Hitchcock so I can stop thinking about Captain America. But we get some brief first-person motorcycle stuff until Steve jumps off the bike and grabs onto the helicopter.
Yeah, the fucking bike is just gone.
Yeah, even though it comes back later, he does the same fucking thing.
Yeah, like they try to explain it as like Simon has people that
it has a crew. but not
How?
at first. That's later when we find out that.
So I don't know how they got it back the first time.
No, me either. And there's some awesome fucking stunts because you know that somebody is hanging on to the helicopter.
Yeah.
But the really cool thing is when they fucking clearly grab the guy and throw him into the lake.
Toss him.
They throw him in a lake.
Like, it doesn't even, like, it looks like they actually threw him out, like...
Yeah. But I think they did.
Yeah,
it didn't look like a dummy. Like
that was a person.
You can not only can you tell because he's moving around, whatever. Like the I feel like the height from helicopter to lake, like that's a stunt height. Like it would probably be higher if it was a dummy, but it's the perfect height, I think, and that was awesome. And so Cap holds the gun. Cap holds the pilot at gunpoint like a true hero. So he'll land the copter safely. And Steve tells Simon that his hearing and sight are also enhanced. I don't think we ever see that happen again.
And that was never brought up until now.
It's not
but
one of Captain America's powers. I'm pretty confident. And Simon tells Steve that he's reached maximum potential, and now he needs to fucking train and deal with being a super soldier.
Oh yeah, this entire conversation is happening while the helicopter is still on.
Yeah,
so they are screaming at the top of their lungs about this.
But the best read is after Simon's like, you're gonna have to deal with this. Steve just says,
yeah, that'll be the tough part.
Which is it's so stale. And then we just cut back to Jeff's house where Brackett is there, and Tina thinks it's just her father's friend or whatever, doesn't know he's a bad guy. And they're like, hey, Tina, if you help me out with finding that film, then we can prove your daddy isn't a traitor. I'm just gonna keep saying daddy because that's real creepy, and I'm a real creepy guy.
You were the villain.
Look, man. But I never... Yeah, we get a really creepy line where Brackett's like...
I've never known a father and daughter closer than you two were.
Clearly hasn't been to...
Sweet Home Alabama!
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
Yeah. But yeah, this guy keeps making it really sexual. And she's like, oh yeah, we went fishing and we used to hide notes from each other, and I used to hide it in his fishing rod.
Oh, no, okay. To make this situation even worse, she said that they hide notes, and if they couldn't find the note, they had to do whatever was written on it.
That's right! It's like, oh yeah, you gotta do whatever I want.
We'd hide little notes from each other. If we couldn't find them, we had to do whatever the other one had written down on the note.
Sweet Home Alabama.
But it's so then the doorbell rings and Wendy's... Oh shit, no, sorry. They go through the fishing rod and they find the film, so Brackett has it now. And one thing, he needs to make a bomb. And the doorbell rings and Wendy shows up going on that girls trip, that dinner that they're planning. But then once they're both inside, he pulls a gun on them. And
he's like, let's take a ride.
Yeah. It just gets worse and worse.
Yeah, it only goes downhill for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, this might be the last funny thing, and then it's really boring.
Yeah, this is the last. No, this is when Captain America starts.
Yeah, this is when it picks up. Okay.
This is when all the cool stunts start.
I literally forgot about the good stuff because I can only think about how boring the last 15 minutes is. But we're not.
This is the last half an hour probably.
Surprised we had this much to say about this movie.
Yeah, I didn't expect this much.
Yeah, either. So Brackett calls Jeff or Steve or whoever, I didn't write it down, and says that he's got Wendy and Tina, and if Steve Rogers gets in the way, then we're gonna Wendy and Tina are gonna get fucked up, and we finish the bomb also. Steve asks Simon to send him in alone, and Simon's like, alright, but you gotta wear a horrible costume.
Yeah, he's pretty much like, okay, yeah, you can go in alone, but you need protection. And it's an excuse for him to wear a really bad Captain America costume.
That isn't bulletproof or anything.
It's literally... He says it's for protection, and it literally just looks like a jumpsuit.
It's like pajamas and a motorcycle helmet and a mask. Like, okay.
It's not even a mask.
Is it part of the helmet?
I think he's literally just wearing motorcycle goggles. Like, he's just wearing goggles.
Okay,
like,
so it's like
a mask.
A blue helmet with an A on it, blue goggles. The most interesting thing about the costume, kind of weird Superman Returns-esque design choice, which is he has stars all around, like, the edges of his gloves and boots.
Oh, yeah.
Which, yeah, I mean, Superman Returns suit famously, like, the blue was made up of S's everywhere. So...
I don't remember that. I need to look at that again.
I love Superman Returns, but it's not good. I think it's great, though. And then I think we get both of our favorite line in the whole movie, which is when he talks about...
Jam Captain America down their throats.
Which he says
there's a lot of weird sexual stuff in the last half an hour.
Not as much as Doctor Strange.
Yeah, not even close.
There's just some weird double entendres in the end.
Captain America's gonna shove himself down a couple throats.
Oh my god. Okay, we're back with Brackett, and he has a bomb vest on, so he's like, if the cops show up, they won't shoot me if I have a bomb vest.
Because apparently the bomb will blow up if his heart stops.
Oh, yeah, that's a thing. I don't think that's a real thing.
I don't think that is either,
that
but weird villain scientist stuff, so...
Cell, what was it? Cell rejection.
Yes, cell rejection.
No, we don't know how anything works. We don't know how science works. We don't know how technology works.
I'm pretty sure it doesn't work
like
that.
We don't know how forming a relationship between our hero and his scientist friend's daughter works, clearly. And we get the fucking money shot, which is Steve zooming out of the van on the bike in full costume. It's awesome.
Yeah, so this is the first time that we see Captain America in a suit, and it took an hour and 15 minutes.
Which is what we were talking about in the very first episode with how it usually takes a long time for us to see the costume.
I just because I was curious, I've been, with each of the movies, I've been, like, keeping track of how long it takes for, like, the first time the suit actually shows up is.
Yeah.
Spider-Man didn't take that long.
No,
it was like half
Spider-Man
an
was
hour.
quick, even though it didn't make any sense why you
Doctor Strange, it never showed up. Pretty much.
Yeah, kinda.
He pretty much. He got one at the end, but that.
Yeah, the Captain Marvel suit.
Yeah, so that doesn't count. And then
he did have that suit that we liked.
Yeah.
For like 5 minutes.
Yeah, that one was. Yeah, I counted that one. I think that one was pretty much like the same amount of time that this one took.
Yeah,
it was like an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, that sucks. That's probably something we'll see in a lot of the earlier ones, because I feel like superhero movies, I think it's just because the technology, like costume technology, wasn't to the point where you can replicate a comic book suit and not make it look ridiculous. Like, because we still have like the 2012 Avengers Captain America suit.
Oh god, yeah.
And like because most costumes now everybody looks perfect, but there's still exceptions where we haven't totally nailed it. So especially back then, I think Thor's costume is fine. He doesn't wear the helmet or anything.
I don't know. I think I like him later on.
I think
in like the original Thor and in Avengers 2012, he looks a little.
I don't think it's a costume problem. I think it's because he's got the weird bleached blonde eyebrows.
That might be what it is. Oh god, I forgot about that. Yeah, that might be what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, back to this movie.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I think. To me, the costume kind of looks like something like Evel Knievel would wear.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's like a stuntman.
Yeah, it's like a weird, like, motorcycle stuntman costume, which is pretty much exactly what Cap is in this movie.
Yeah,
he's just a motorcycle stuntman.
He is, yeah, with a frisbee.
Yeah.
As Ultron said.
With a big old frisbee.
Yeah, and so he gets into the fucking villain base, and this is when he turns his bike to silent mode, which doesn't make any sense.
So stupid.
Yeah. Steve leaves the bike, and he's got the shield base, leaves the bike somewhere, and he's gonna save the day, but he immediately blows his cover and does a super jump.
Yeah.
And all the guards are looking for him.
Of course. Fucking Captain America's signature move. the fucking
super jump.
30-foot jump.
Yeah, which has never happened. Ever. They find him. There's a pretty cool bullet deflection effect for 1979. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Cap breaks up. This is like fucking Tom and Jerry levels of stupidity, where he breaks off a nozzle and sprays the guards.
Sprays oil.
Yeah.
And they just fucking slip over each other.
They slide into a bunch of like barrels. It's ridiculous. And Cap has this goofy grin the whole time. It's so funny. Cap grabs the head scientist and sounds like Nicolas Cage for a second.
The girls, where are they?
And the doctor has some horrible dubbing.
In a room under number 2 stack. They're all right.
And he immediately cracks under the pressure. And Steve asks the scientist to show him to Brackett's office. But then he just leads the way to Brackett's office, like Steve is like, where is
drags
it?
him.
And then drags him.
He knows already.
Yeah, Cap crushes this lock on a safe. It's kind of cool. He rips the door off its hinges and rescues Wendy and Tina. And then the scientist tells Cap Brackett's plan, but it's not really a plan. It's just he has a bomb.
Yeah,
he's gonna set it off.
And he doesn't tell him where he's gonna set it off. He has a bomb.
Yeah, he has a bomb.
And then I think he dies.
Yeah.
He kind of like slumps over and like Cap checks his pulse and then runs.
Yeah, he runs.
So I think he accidentally murdered the scientist and then just left him.
I bet that fucking motorcycle ride home was just him with Wendy and Tina just being like, don't tell anyone about this.
Okay, I might have committed a murder, but it's okay. He was evil.
Yeah, I think
he made a bomb.
Do only 2 people die in this whole movie?
I think so.
Jeff and this fucking guy?
I guess.
Yeah, so we're back at the lab. They discuss the plan, and it's talking about how the bomb is going to be in this truck, and we get a bunch of... Simon gets a bunch of records faxed to him in a very long sequence. It's really bad. Anytime you see a fax machine in the movie, unless it's Back to the Future 2, it's just like, oh no.
Read my fax!
Please!
Please, no, I cannot be fired. I'm fired.
They say, should we call in the Air Force? No, fuck the Air Force. We're gonna do it ourselves. We got a motorcycle stuntman.
Send Cap in
yeah,
again.
Send Cap in. We got 2 members of the Carpenters and fucking Simon in a helicopter.
We gotta have Cap we gotta have more Captain America somehow.
Because we gotta put something on the fucking NBC TV commercials. That we don't want to get beaten out by Roots again.
And then your note of just padding.
This is when we get to the worst. The last 15 minutes. There's kind of nothing fun.
Yeah, it's kind of boring.
You get a lot of padding. I kind of admire how it just depicts like the awkwardness of a long trip where people don't know what to say to each other.
Yeah, they're kind of just sitting there.
Yeah, Simon and Steve are in a helicopter and they just don't say anything.
It's literally a 5-minute long silent helicopter ride.
Yeah, it is.
Like, it's so awkward.
I wrote down it's been literally 4 minutes. Like,
it's so weird.
No exaggeration.
Like, why is that still in? Just cut it out.
And then we see, yeah, it's the worst. The last 15 minutes is fucking joyless. When Brackett's like reading the Bible or something in the back of a truck, and so somehow Steve's just instantly back in full costume and on the bike. I don't remember how. We get some cool behind the tire shots, and yeah, once again, Cap fucking throws his bike away to jump on the truck, but it's just like, it's the same stunt from the helicopter.
Yeah, it's the exact same
He probably
thing.
knew how to do one stunt, which is jump from one thing to another. They literally have a whole scene dedicated to answering my question, where I'm like, oh, where does this fucking bike go? And then immediately after I wrote that, they're like, oh, we picked up the bike, and I'm like, alright, fine, fair enough, you got me. But yeah, the suit leaves nothing to the imagination. You can very clearly see the outline of his dick. It's
because he has to shove himself down a couple throats.
Yeah, no.
Oh god, that was awful.
See, no, it's great. That's gonna be the fucking saving grace of this episode, that one line. And so Steve Hotbrock.
What the fuck were you trying to say?
Steve Hotboxes Brackett.
There we go.
So they just pull the truck over, which I don't think that's very professional. He just traps him in there with a bunch of smoke.
Yeah, he pretty much chokes on truck fumes and then dies.
Yeah, and well, he passes out.
He almost dies.
Yeah, Cap hits the henchman with the door, and he hits him off a cliff, so I guess he's dead too.
Yeah.
So that's Steve Rogers' kill count is 2, the movie's kill count is 3. Steve finds the bomb on Brackett, and so they say the bomb will go off if his pulse stops, and we get the fucking longest real-time sequence of all time where we get them
the
defusing
helicopter
the bomb,
landing, them defusing the bomb, then making sure the villain doesn't die.
Yeah,
it takes like 10 minutes.
It's such a long thing. And then the fucking cops and the bomb squad show up, and then that's it.
Yeah.
We don't see him go to jail. It's just like, they're like, oh, we'll call the cops and the bomb squad, and then they leave.
Yeah, they're just like, yeah, we'll leave it to them. And then it's just a cut.
And then I got pissed. So apparently, we're back at fucking Jeff's house where Tina, Wendy, Simon, and Steve fucking are. It sounds like the fucking cast of Friends. But so apparently Tina's mom, who died in the plane crash, was fucking alive the whole time, and she was just Brackett's prisoner, and now she's back. And we get this shitty puss out happy fucking ending. And Steve says once again,
he did jam himself down a few throats, didn't he?
Best line in the entire movie.
Fantastic. That's at the 1 hour 35 minute
They could have
mark.
said it any other way.
But they didn't, and they said it twice.
Yep, I'm so glad they did. This is the best part of the movie.
And Steve says that he'll permanently be Captain America, and then he shows up at the end with a slightly different suit that I assume that'll be the one he wears in the sequel, which we'll have to talk about. It's a little better.
It's slightly better, but not by much. It still looks
blue.
like pajamas or, motorcycle.
Yeah, motorcycle,
stunt.
Evel Knievel suit. And then that's it.
Yep. That's just how the movie ends. He says he jammed himself down a couple throats. He becomes Captain America forever, and then that's it. I think the movie ends with them in a desert. Like he shows off his new costume. He shows off his new suit, and then Simon's just like, "Yeah, it's pretty cool," and then it just cuts to credits.
Of all of these movies that have a sequel, this isn't the one I want to watch the sequel to. Like, it's not horrible. It's better. It's more entertaining than Doctor Strange, except for the first 5 minutes and the last 15 minutes. There's like 20 minutes of the most boring fucking shit in the world that I would never watch this again.
But I mean, it's better than
it's more
Doctor Strange having like only 20 minutes being pretty kind of interesting.
20
and the rest
minutes
being...
is generous.
Yeah,
but
that entire movie's pretty boring.
I don't hate Doctor Strange, but
it's just boring.
But even the boring stuff is better. Like, it's a better done soap opera than the fucking all the boring helicopter sitting around in Captain America.
Yeah,
I would probably rather watch Doctor Strange again than this again, even though this has more stuff I enjoy.
Yeah, I feel like this is better, but for some reason I would still watch Doctor Strange over this.
It's just getting worse and worse.
I don't think this is
no,
worse.
This isn't worse than Doctor Strange.
This definitely isn't worse than
but
Doctor
Strange. Are these
Strange,
getting more and more boring?
Maybe.
Okay, well, I have seen Captain America 2, and I remember it being pretty entertaining. Okay. So I think that one will
Is it Spider-Man levels of entertaining, or is it...
All I'm going to say is I remember a sequence where Captain America shoves
himself down a couple throats. Sorry,
Good
what were you
saying? Yay. No, he shoves a bag of cocaine down his pants. So... I think
wait, are you joking, or are you completely serious?
Yeah, that happens. No, that happens. Yeah, we'll get to that one next week. Next Tuesday, we'll talk about.
Oh boy, that's gonna be a time.
Okay, so my final thoughts. I don't know if we'll have like a huge speech about this one at the end, like we did about Doctor Strange.
There's not too much to say about this one
because I feel like maybe at the end of our Spider-Man review, one of the criticisms I've heard is that we kind of just said how bad it is in like 20 different ways for 10 minutes, which is probably fair.
I mean, we did that with Doctor Strange.
Yeah, we did, but I think with Doctor Strange we brought up
point.
We brought up more good points, I think, with that one than just repeating ourselves. But I will write, because after I watch one of these movies, I just immediately write my final thoughts. So at the time, we'll see if I've changed this, but I wrote, Captain America benefits from Red Brown's likable performance as Steve Rogers and some really fun stunt work. It's full of memorable moments, both for either just pure schlock value or just well done scenes like the bit at the beach that we were talking about. And I do enjoy the alternate origin as well as the painfully yet joyously dumb suit and motorcycle. However, an extremely uninspired villain who with no fucking plan, as we were talking about.
Nothing, not even close.
Horrible last 15 minutes manages to destroy like all of the goodwill that this movie previously built up. It was much more painless than I thought it would be, but when it dragged on, you could really fucking feel it. I give it 6 and 5/12 throat jammings out.
All right. So I think I would pretty much completely agree. Like there's a lot of things that I actually liked about this movie. It gets the beginning and the end are a little rough around. Well, the entire movie is a little rough around the edges, but
yeah.
Nothing is as bad as the first couple minutes and like the entire end of the movie.
No,
the entire middle, I would say, is actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's almost on like a Spider-Man level, not like being that bad, but just being entertaining.
Yeah, it's a pretty entertaining time. I wouldn't say I was like bored or anything. A lot of the stunts were actually pretty impressive for being like late 70s,
especially when it's a movie with a $1 million budget and you don't expect that from a Captain America tele movie.
And I think even though the suit is kind of rough, it's a little rough.
It's fun.
But I still like it. I think with like how the movie is and like how they set it up and everything, I think it works for this Captain America, but not as like Captain America in general.
I think that. I think that what this one has over Doctor Strange is you do get that solid time of just fucking running around in the dumb suit doing the silly stuff you want to see, because that's what a lot of Spider-Man is.
You get what you came for this time.
Spider-Man, most of it is what you want to see, just the dumb costume, the bad effects, and you get some of the dumb costume and silly stuff in Captain America. You don't get much of that in Doctor Strange, so I think this is more fun than Doctor Strange.
Yeah, this is a lot more fun because I feel like it has a good balance of like exposition stuff and then like stunts, because it's pretty evenly like split. It's pretty evenly split up. Like there's a couple minutes of them talking and then there's a pretty cool stunt like that, and that usually takes up like, I don't know, like 10 minutes.
Yeah, and there's no sequence where Steve Rogers sits down and reminisces about the last hour of footage, so they don't have to.
I think the pacing, except for the beginning and the end, those are kind of rough, but
super rough.
The pacing is actually pretty, like, it stays pretty consistent.
I genuinely like the kind of the friendship between Steve Rogers and Simon. I think there's a lot of good scenes with those two just talking, especially on the beach, like, and in the hospital room.
I feel like they were a really good pair. Like, I feel like Simon was actually, I think he could be considered a sidekick, and that would be pretty good. Like, he's pretty good as a sidekick.
He is the cue to Steve Rogers as James Bond. Like, he's giving him the gadgets, and he's helping him through. I think it's, I like it.
I think them together is probably the second best part of the movie, other than that one line.
Oh my god, yeah, that's a good line. And the stunts are pretty good.
And the stunts are really good.
Yeah, it's not bad. As a film, it's probably, I think they're getting better. Like technically Doctor Strange is a little better than Spider-Man. I think technically Captain America is a little better than Doctor Strange.
Yeah, as time has gone on, because all these movies have been like a year apart. So as time went on, I think they were kind of figuring out like what was working.
Yeah,
and they figured out how to make things actually look kind of cool. So
I think one of the most probably fun parts of the show is looking back at like how we started with these three, basically the CBS trilogy, I guess, and then we end with like everything's like a special effects spectacular.
Yeah,
because I don't know, it's
Endgame.
Yeah, fucking Endgame, or literally any MCU movie.
Yeah, like, literally the MCU from what? Probably not the first Iron Man, from what, like Thor forward.
Thor has a pretty shitty climax.
Well, no, I'm saying like
just special effects.
Yeah, just special effects everywhere.
Well, I think that the Iron Man suit is so good you don't even think of it as being CG.
Yeah, I think it just because in the beginning they didn't have CG, so seeing them have to like figure out how to actually make it look decent without.
We'll get some terrible early CG in Howard the Duck. I know exactly what's coming.
Oh god, yeah.
But I mean, say what you will about Howard the Duck, that is like an actual movie. It's not a CBS movie.
Yeah,
it's made by a real company,
movie, and it's like a guilty pleasure.
I think we'll probably love Howard the Duck.
Yeah. Oh no, I already do know that I love it. I've seen that movie so many times.
Really, I've only seen it one time.
I've seen it like 6 times.
That's incredible. Good.
I don't know why I've seen it so many times, but
great.
I love it.
That's gonna be fun.
It's such a bad movie, but at the same time, I love it.
Man, like after we get through Captain America 2 next week, which I'm sure will be like this, pretty fun, but also drags a little bit, or maybe it'll be better. I don't know. Then we're pretty much smooth sailing from then on. Then it's good shit because we have Howard the Duck, and then some Incredible Hulk stuff, and Nick Fury, and then after that it's pretty much Blade, and then that's movies.
So these first couple have been like early 70s like TV pilots.
The late 70s.
Or yeah, late 70s. Pretty much there's gonna be Captain America, and then it's gonna be like, that's pretty much gonna be like, I'm thinking of it in like phases for some reason.
So I mean, it kind of is.
This first phase is like weird like TV movies and like pilots.
And we'll still get into that with Nick Fury, Incredible Hulk. Like, that isn't going away.
But we're gonna hit like Howard the Duck, and it like a lot of the stuff after that, we're gonna be in a weird like phase of 80s movies. Trying to be serious superhero movies, like instead of TV movies.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird to
see. As soon as we hit Blade, maybe Blade up until like Ghost Rider, that's a phase, and then Iron Man onwards, that's a thing. Like, because you get your late 90s, early 2000s stuff.
Yeah, because it's like early TV movies, then we have like weird 80s trying to figure out how to make a superhero movie.
Yeah.
Then the 90s is like, they've got a pretty decent grasp on it, and then that goes into the early 2000s, which is Spider-Man and the X-Men movies. And, they figured it out by then.
Even though, I mean, you get a Fantastic Four and a Ghost Rider and a Daredevil there.
Yeah, I like all of
you
those. You get a couple bumps in the road, but for the most part, they know
flawless.
what they're doing. And then there's the MCU, which
speaks for itself.
I'm sure everybody already knows what that's gonna be.
Yeah.
Like...
But yeah, no, point is, I've liked watching the evolution of these movies, and I think they do get better every time. Still, if you're gonna watch only one of these, watch Spider-Man. Also, you don't have to pay for it; it's on YouTube. Yeah. All right, well, I mean that's pretty much it. I gotta give it a rating. Oh shit, yeah.
Let's see. I don't know. It's probably somewhere in the. I would give it like 6.5 illegal cases of Captain America shoving himself down your throat.
That's definitely it's definitely in the 6.5 range.
It's
for sure.
I wouldn't give it anything higher. Like probably the lowest is like 5.5.
Well, I think 5.5 is more Doctor Strange territory. I think I had more fun with this.
Well, I mean,
especially since there's good stuff.
Talking about Doctor Strange kind of made me put it down. It's like more of like a 3.5 to a 4.
Jesus,
I don't know.
I would say that for like Elektra. I'm saving
Elektra's gonna be
my
like
low
a 2.
grades. Yeah,
Elektra's gonna be like like a 2 or a 2.5.
Elektra's really bad. I'm really scared for that one.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard so much about it.
Oh
it sounds awful.
Yeah, I had like an aneurysm watching it for the first time.
It's like that and Ben Affleck Daredevil.
Daredevil. I don't think Daredevil's that bad.
I haven't
comparatively
seen it,
anyway. Oh yeah, we'll get to that one.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, sorry this was a bit of a shorter one, not that much shorter, and I'm sure when I edit it down, it'll be a little shorter.
it'll be like 45 minutes.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, I guess that kind of is reflective of how interesting the movie is. it's fun. I mean,
Yeah,
we don't need to reiterate our point, I guess.
Yeah.
But what else? I'm gonna be this Friday. I'll be having a tiny guest appearance on a podcast called Podcasters Assemble. I'll leave a link to that as soon as that goes up. Oh yeah, it's just a little thing where basically the thing is they get a ton of podcasters to give like answer a few questions about Endgame, their opinions on it, and I was just like, I can knock this out in 5 minutes. I'll put it up there, and that'll be good. I mean, that's definitely a bigger podcast than this is, so I think that'll get us out there a little bit, hopefully. But yeah, no, I'll put a link up to that if that's up. That won't be up until Friday, so you might have to wait on that. I'll definitely mention it next week too. Yeah, other than that, you can find the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Marvel Movie Pod. You can email us
and don't forget fucking eTunes or whatever you called it.
Aintunes.
Aintunes. Yeah. You can also find us on Aintunes.
You can find us on iTunes. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us anywhere pretty much now. I think. I don't think there's many places we aren't now. I've been meaning to put the episodes on YouTube. I only put the first episode up because it takes a little bit to
YouTube sucks
set a video to
uploading videos.
Yeah,
it takes like 8 hours.
Yeah,
to
it kind of sucks. So I'll probably put more on YouTube, and maybe you'll leave a link to that at some point. But just listen to it on Spotify or iTunes or Google Podcasts or wherever you can.
iTunes.
And on iTunes, you can email us at marvelmoviepod@gmail.com. You can find me on Flipped Egg on Instagram. Find me on Flipped Egg with the 3 in the E and egg on Twitter. Franny won't give you a social media because he hates you. And that is it.
All right, thanks for listening.
Jam Captain America down their throats.